Alright, now that the rainbow flag can be flown on government property, I want to start seeing crosses put back where they've been removed, the 10 Commandments put back in courtrooms, and the Bible put back in the schools. Whoa, what? First of all, the Bible hasn't been banned from schools. You can definitely take a Bible to school. It's just that in the past, at least, teachers haven't been able to force students to read from the Bible, communicate any kind of biblical message using the Bible, or have any kind of like institution-led prayer or Bible study. At least in the past it's been that way, but with this new court ruling from SCOTUS, or as everybody else affectionately calls them, the shithole that is careening us towards a dystopian future full of Christian nationalism, prior to their decision, teachers weren't allowed to do that, but I guess maybe we need to start rethinking public schools. Anyways, today we're going to be going over a lot of comments, and we have a special narrator for the comments today. Brosephus, you want to tell us what we're talking about? What up there, sinners? Yeah, so I'll be reading the comments again today, and I just want to let y'all know that we're covering my favorite subject, Christian nationalism. You're not a true American unless you're a Christian American. But we're going to be covering that, and then some dipshits are going to try to predict the future. So I hope y'all are holding your assholes open. So I hope you assholes are holding on to your butts or something, because we're about to take a wild ride into the future. The views and opinions expressed here are not the views and opinions of Godless Engineer. Also, Brosephus just likes getting attention. The fuck you say? You heard me, bitch. Well, if you heathens want to fuck around and find out more about what people are saying about Christian nationalism, as well as trying to predict the future, then please stay tuned. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Like I said, today we're going to be checking out a number of comments from Christian nationalists, as well as a few dipshits that are trying to predict the future. But I know that you guys can't see my shirt, but I'm wearing the Keep This Wall shirt that we have on our store, on the GE store. It should be in our shelf down below. If you would like to show your support for keeping the separation of church and state, and you don't yet have a shirt or don't have this shirt, then you can go down there and get it. They're reasonably priced, and they help fund the channel here. And if you guys don't know, we usually donate to a charity each month. In July, we donated to the Transgender Law Center. So if you want to help us do great shit like that, consider getting a Keep the Wall shirt. All right, so what is our first thing that we're going to be talking about there, Brosephus? A month has passed since the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a football coach who knelt at midfield to pray and was joined by student athletes. Now families, teachers, and activists are preparing to push religious worship into public schools nationwide, just like Christ would have wanted, to force everybody to get on their knees and pleasure Jesus. Yeah, so I'm pretty scared about this too. Like, I don't know what this means, and this week is actually the first week that Xander is going to be going back to school, and I'm quite concerned about it. Although, I mean, part of his school class load is like a green power class, and what that class does is it builds these electric cars that they're going to eventually race. So it's kind of weird seeing that in like an Alabama high school, but Boeing funded it here in North Alabama like a few years ago. So they're going to be doing that class, and he wanted to take it. I'm really proud as a father that he wanted to take that, as well as competitive robotics. That's really cool. I gotta say, I'm really jealous about what my son's gonna be doing in his middle school experience, because I had a totally shit middle school experience. But in any case, I'm still very worried about this push for Christian nationalism into schools. As we all know, SCOTUS ruled in favor of the coach that forced players, coerced players, to pray with him on the field. These players would risk being outed as not being all that supportive of the whole prayer thing and risked being persecuted for that decision. And I don't think that any high school student should be put in that position. But I guess we'll have to see as this year comes and goes. And it may not be all that in our face this year, but it could be a problem in the future. So hopefully they don't bring back daily Bible readings in schools and they don't force kids to pray in schools. Although, I got to tell you, I may have some rage blackouts, so I hope that doesn't happen. But in any case, I wanted to bring this up because anybody that's out there that is a parent and you're watching this and your kids are going to public school, try to get actual evidence of this happening if it happens in your school. You know, if you can record, do record. I'm not going to tell you to tell your kids to record things, but the best way that we can combat this kind of stuff is if we keep pushing for protecting the rights of our children by recording it in one way or another, and having actual evidence to bring forth whenever we do start to be able to complain about it or whatnot. The FFRF is a really good resource to use in these instances. I have used them before, and I have gotten them to send a letter to a school, and that school has had to stop what they had been doing in order to, protect the rights of my child. So they are a very valuable resource, and I highly suggest that y'all use them if you encounter this kind of thing in your child's schools.
Now, listen, everybody, Christian nationalism is good, and it's healthy, because Christianity redeems nationalism and gives it a gentler, more humane, and more universal thrust. The Nazis represented godless nationalism, which is the foundation of socialist and secular tyrannies everywhere. I don't know if Dinesh D'Souza knows this, but the current Christian nationalist push is more white Christian nationalist, not just in general Christian. We're not accepting of everybody.
Wait a second. Did Dinesh D'Souza really just say that Christian nationalism gives nationalism a gentler and more humane and more universal thrust? Like, gentler and humane. Does he not understand Christian history? If anything, Christian history is violent as fuck. Of course, you could go to the, crusades, which is probably what everybody would go to. I mean, we've got several depictions of that. Soldiers with crosses on their entire body and on their shield, slaughtering people just because they believe in a different god than them. Or if you wanted to hit a little bit closer to home, you could just show them pictures of the KKK proudly displaying that they are Christians by either having banners across their meetings that talks about Jesus saving them, or burning crosses on the lawns of people of color as well as allies to people of color. So no, it's not gentler and more humane. Christian nationalism has always been fucking violent. Also, what does it mean, a universal thrust? Like, I have no idea. Are you talking about God fucking our universe? Because if that's what you're talking about, he sure is trying, or at least the Christians think that he's trying to fuck our universe. But universal thrust just seems like too much sexual innuendo for Dinesh D'Souza. And then finally, Nazis were godless nationalists? Where the fuck are you getting this? I mean, just recently on Twitter, I noticed Andrew Seidel, who commented on this particular picture of an ad for a 1939 meeting of American Nazis. They are all about Christian nationalism. To say that the Nazis were not Christian in some kind of respect is just lying about history. They definitely were Christian, or some kind of Christian. At least they were fueled by these Christian nationalist ideas. So no, The Nazis aren't represented by godless nationalists. While there have been some quote-unquote godless tyrannical governments, which are just state atheism, which is different, and let me explain the difference here. State atheism is where you replace the religion that's popular in the country with the state. So you end up worshiping the state like it were a deity or a god. That's not the atheism that exists now, or the godlessness that exists now. The godlessness or the atheism that exists now is just simply not believing in your magical sky wizard. And yeah, that's what he is. When he speaks an incantation to create the entire universe out of nothing, that makes him a fucking wizard. And if you didn't want me referencing him as some old fuck in the sky, maybe you should have told everybody in the past that drew and painted all of these images that depict God as an old fuck in the sky. So yeah, fuck Dinesh D'Souza, but also I think he's forgetting about who the Christian nationalists actually want in their idealized society. Yeah, of course you are lying again. The founders were overwhelmingly Christian, grounded our rights and liberties in God, started each meeting in a prayer. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Quincy Adams, founder. Bitch, what you guys say about that, huh, Godless? Oh, awesome. Haven't had one of these in a while. This is actually a comment from our channel here. And you have to know the context, because I put up this meme that talks about how if we were founded on Judeo-Christian principles, why did the founders hardly ever mention the Bible? And I had to say hardly ever, because I couldn't say they never mentioned the Bible. During the Constitutional Convention, Ben Franklin did bring up the Bible once. But that was in reference to requiring property ownership for running for elected office. And so he used a biblical verse in order to try to get what he wanted pushed into law. It was never anything that influenced like any other policies in the Constitution or anything like that. So I couldn't say they never used it because it was used once. And also this quote is kind of fuckered for a few reasons. For one thing, it's out of context. Without taking John Adams, his entire position on religion into account, that it makes it quote mining what he's doing right here. But also John Quincy Adams is the son of the founder, John Adams, who actually helped write the Constitution and took part in all of that. John Quincy Adams was the sixth president and was like 10 or so years old when the revolution happened, and subsequently was, around somewhat the same age when the United States Constitution was written. So it's John Adams that actually wrote that. And the same John Adams, the father of John Quincy Adams, that signed the Treaty of Tripoli that said that this country is not founded on the Christian religion. So, I mean, like I said, this is kind of fuckered. Now, to take John Adams's position on religion into full account, you have to understand that Adams thought that religion would regulate society, that religion was the main vehicle for implementing, some kind of structure on how people behaved. But the important point here is that he thought that any religious system could replace Christianity. It's just that the religious system seemed to be able to regulate people's behavior or whatnot in the best way that they could at that time. John Adams, though, still laments over how the public was made to pay for certain religious houses of worship in other societies. So John Adams, the president, John Adams, he definitely was not in favor of pushing Christianity through the state. He thought that people were not able to control their behavior if not for religion. But he still was not in favor of pushing religion on people. And if you want to know where all that information comes from, it's actually a letter between John Adams Sr., and Thomas Jefferson. So maybe Fester Reloaded needs to look at his sources again, because he's kind of fucked up this particular quote, not only in quote mining it and not taking John Quincy Adams' father, into account and his whole position into account, but also misattributing this quote to John Quincy Adams when it was really his father, John Adams, that said it.
Now, you do realize that by saying hardly ever, you are implicitly stating that they did reference the Bible and it influenced the nation.
Actually, that's not what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is that they hardly ever reference the Bible. If the U.S. government is indeed based on biblical or Judeo-Christian beliefs or morals or whatever, considering how many different denominations were in the colonies at the time, you would think that they would reference a lot more Bible verses in order to support their positions on certain aspects of the Constitution. But we don't find that. If they hardly ever reference the Bible while writing the Constitution or debating about the Constitution, then it makes no sense whatsoever to say that we are based on Judeo-Christian principles, because Judeo-Christian principles simply were not discussed. Whatever in the fuck Judeo-Christian principles could be called. Regardless of what you consider that, you would still have to reference the Bible, specific verses in the Bible, not just general ideas, but specific verses in the Bible to support your position about why that should be worked into our Constitution. If we had that in the discussion over the Constitution, I think that you would be in a lot better position here, but we don't have that at all. So no, that's not what the meme is saying, and the Bible did not influence the founding of this nation. In fact, if anything, the founding of this nation is completely antithetical to what the Bible says.
All right. Now that the rainbow flag can be flown on government property, I want to start seeing crosses put back where they've been removed, the 10 Commandments put back in courtrooms, and the Bible put back in the schools. Because obviously we rule the schools by biblical standards, so we should definitely have the manual on how to act right in schools, right?
Oh, here's our introduction comment. You see, supporting LGBTQ rights is not a religion. I mean, it is a political position, so, I mean, there's that, but it's definitely not a religion. Flying a Christian flag above any state capital or anything like that would be a violation of the First Amendment, or depending on what SCOTUS thinks, I guess, because 6 shitty individuals now run the country in some kind of shadow authoritarian government style of ruling this nation, but traditionally it's seen as violating the First Amendment. And that's due to the fact that this shows preference to one religion over others. And the fact that it's being flown on government property seems to indicate that it's being supported by the government. And that's a violation of the First Amendment. Flying the LGBTQ flag in support of LGBTQ individuals is not violating the First Amendment. Also, the crosses and shit and the 10 Commandments, those are highly Christian. And I don't care what the fucking SCOTUS says about the Christian cross being some kind of secular symbol now. And yes, that's what they've actually ruled in the past. It is incredibly Christian. And to put those things up in those public places like Capitol buildings, courthouses, and all that, that's violating the First Amendment unless you allow all the other religions that want to put up statues there, put them up. But you see, the problem is that Christians, they just want a one-way street. They want to be able to push their religion through government without anybody else pushing their religion through government. Because I guarantee you, as soon as you start putting up crosses places and the 10 Commandments in places, you're going to have the Satanic Temple come in. You're going to have Muslims come in wanting to put up statues and symbols for them, and you wouldn't be able to deny them because you're getting to put up religious symbols. So now we have to acknowledge every single religion that comes through there. And also, don't get me started on the Bible back in schools. Kids can bring Bibles to school. They can read their Bible at school. But the school cannot push the Bible on their students, whether that's through collective prayer sponsored by the school, the teacher teaching out of the Bible. you can't do those kinds of things. And in fact, it was religious people that had a problem with all of that shit happening in the first place. That's the entire reason why we had the lawsuits that banned teachers from pushing Christianity on their students. Because other Christians didn't want teachers pushing a different kind of Christianity on their children. But also there were Jewish people that were in those lawsuits as well that didn't want their children being indoctrinated into Christianity. Now, fuck me, I guess, but I don't think that we should be pushing religion on children through public schools.
All right, are y'all ready to tell the future? Because we got some dipshits that think they can. Will you still serve God when Christianity becomes a felony? Huh? Will you? They're gonna outlaw it. We all know it. It's coming down the pipes. Biden's a Satanist.
I don't know when this meme was made, but it has never been, there's never been a point in modern America that Christianity has come under the possibility of becoming a felon or being outlawed in any kind of way. Unless you're talking about using your free speech to sit there and say, hey, you should go out and kill these people. Like if you incite people to commit violence, then I think that you should be held accountable. I don't know if that would be a felony or not, but the point of fact is that this is just a fear-mongering persecution meme. It's persecution porn.
Oh, that's right. The other night, didn't you tell me that Jesus spoke to you personally?
Why are you doing this?
I'm the one asking the questions, Miss Wesley. Did you or did you not tell me that Jesus spoke to you personally?
Yes.
Christians want Christianity to be outlawed because they want to feel like rebels, going against the system, the same system that persecuted their Lord and Savior, but also the system that's populated mainly by Christians themselves. So it'd be Christians persecuting Christians. Like Christians get off on being persecuted by other Christians? Is that, I mean, I know that that's happened like all throughout time and shit, but I mean, why would you want that? It seems like they want that. They want to be persecuted. Of course, they consider all Democrats to be godless, Satanist, leftists or some shit, or social Nazis or something. Socialist, fascist Nazis is what they classify us as. Well, at the same time, spouting the Nazi propaganda that was going around in Germany, they're spouting the same kind of shit. Now, I don't understand the persecution porn, but then again, you know, I never understood it as a Christian. I mean, I got the same DC Talk book that probably every other Christian got that was, that had all the Christian persecution stories in it. But even then, like, I thought of them as just, you know, horrible stories. I didn't think that Christianity was going to be like persecuted in some kind of way. I never, especially in Alabama, I never felt persecuted as a Christian. That's for fucking sure. So no, Christianity's never gonna become a felony. Most people in the government now are Christian because it's incredibly hard to get elected if you're not sucking Jesus dick.
Okay, listen. When your car stops halfway home because the chip inside detected that you have used your monthly allowance of gasoline, remember that it started with a mask and a shot and you complied, motherfucker. This is your fault for wearing a mask and getting vaccinated because we all know that neither of those things work. Fucking sheep.
I have no fucking idea what this is even trying to say. This was done in the midst of COVID, okay? And in the midst of, you know, the vaccines rolling out and everything like that. And so they think that the government's going to limit the amount of gas and it's going to be controlled through the computer that's in our cars. If you're going to run out of gas on the road, that's your fault. It's not going to be because the car won't run because you've used 25 gallons that month or something like that. That's never going to be a thing unless like we actually run out of all this oil that we seem to continuously drill out of the ground. But also, this is why green and renewable energy is important. If you had like a Tesla or some shit, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Or, Teslas are a bit expensive. You can find very inexpensive electric vehicles nowadays, and electric vehicles are, becoming more and more prevalent. I would totally be down for owning an electric vehicle, and, to be quite honest, I probably will one day. But currently, right now, I'm hardly ever driving my car, so I really don't need to use it all that much. And our other vehicle is a hybrid, so we're trying to do our part. I bought an electric lawnmower, electric weed eater, electric edger for the house because I just really didn't want to add to the whole climate thing by continuously buying all this gas run shit. I think that it's a good thing that we've progressed enough in our electrical appliances and shit that, I can have a reasonable electric mower. But in any case, this is never going to happen. But there are people out there that continuously think that it will happen, and it's just ridiculous.
All right, let's set the scene now, okay? The year is 2090. You have now passed away. You never practiced your religion, so you had nothing to pass down to your children and grandchildren except Western culture and behavior. As a result, over time, your descendants are now non-Muslims after its previous generation's forefathers became apostates because you had no knowledge nor practice to pass down. Islam and your family stopped at you. And your new bloodline is no longer Muslim. Your actions cause a ripple effect you cannot see. You led to the decline of Islam due to the love of this world and hope for a long life.
So let me get this straight. Not only are Christians the one that are pushing the fear-mongering thing about being persecuted and, being wiped off of the face of the planet, but you've also got Muslims that are joining in on this now, trying to fearmonger people out of becoming apostates or leaving their religion. Like, how desperate do you have to be to make up fake shit about future events that are probably not going to happen, but it's because you didn't push your religion more on people or on your family, I guess is this comment is saying. Like, you didn't push your religion more on your own family, and now your family's not Muslim.
Yes, very sad. Anyway, it got me thinking.
Like, who cares? Like, I get that some people really heavily get into the whole religious identity, but if, my son doesn't turn out to be an engineer or anything in the field that, if he turns out to not even do anything programming related or engineering related, let's say that, he becomes, a barista or something like that, it's not going to hurt me that, he's not an engineer. I mean, whatever he wants to do with his life, I'm there to support him however he wants to do it. I don't understand why people have to place these arbitrary fucking requirements on what indicates that your family is good in some kind of way, I guess, or maybe what's the word I'm looking for here? Arbitrary requirements for their family to be, I guess, in a good position, other than they're not starving, they're not homeless, maybe, not to dig on homeless people or anything like that, but just being in a good position in general. I don't think that has to require religion.
All right, now everybody, keep in mind that Donald Trump, the beast, created the Space Force to prepare for the invasion of Jesus Christ and his army at the Second Coming, who they will likely say is an alien threat. Well, obviously, have y'all seen that Jesus motherfucker? He definitely looks like an alien, all white and blue-eyed and shit. Actually, he kind of sounds like what we would all picture, Jesus looking like now, I guess. Maybe this applies if you think about Jesus, as he would have really looked instead of the whitewash version of Jesus that we got now. That's the only real version of Jesus that exists! Santa's white!
So, this is an interesting tweet because this person is claiming that Donald Trump is the beast, and that he set up Space Force to attack Jesus, that the Space Force is going to represent as an alien force that's going to be coming. So Donald Trump is wanting to fight Jesus? Is that what I'm getting from this? I feel like it. But also, this is not going to happen as far as like the Jesus bit goes. I don't know if we'll ever be visited by aliens, and, unless they're going to attack us and whatnot, I really don't fucking care. To say that Space Force was set up in order to defeat Jesus when he comes back? The fuck? This is a new conspiracy right here. Like, I have not heard of this before. This is some new shit. But also, I kind of wonder, how would you know that it's Jesus and not some alien? What if it's some alien that's using like a holographic technology to present themselves as, this Jesus figure that they have come to find out a lot of the world expects to come back? Like, how do you know it's not how do you know it's not some aggressive alien force? You would need to be able to determine that. And, magical man riding out of the clouds on a white horse, that seems fantastical. I mean, it really does. And, I really don't know how to respond to these kind of people, because it's just like, oh, okay, good for you, crazy person. I'm just going to go about my day now. This is a Wendy's. I just wanted a hamburger, yo.
I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret, okay? This right here, this is what infuriates leftism and what it wishes to demolish at all cost. Fuck the nuclear family is what the leftists will say. They hate it. They want to destroy it, and they want to destroy you unless you become a Christian nationalist and protect your home with a nuclear weapon and an AK-47 along with your M16 that's painted exactly like Chick-fil-A. Or as the leftists call it, bigot chicken.
Oh yes, finally! We're getting to what leftists hate. And apparently it's a family. See, here's the thing, is that these Christian nationalist fucks and the conservatives in general, they think that by allowing everybody to enjoy that kind of family unit, two parents and kids and everything like that, having fun at the dinner table, whatever, just because we want everybody to be able to enjoy that, whether they're part of the LGBTQ community or not, they see providing others with the ability to enjoy exactly what they're depicting here as restricting them in some kind of way. And I just don't fucking understand that. Like, if I allow somebody else to have a family, that doesn't demean or diminish the fact that I have a family. It doesn't do anything for me. Like, they're just happy over there having a family. Good for them. Like, that, I care that they're able to be happy and have a family, but fuck. It doesn't affect me like they're trying to suggest that it affects me. Like, somehow, by an LGBTQ family existing, it somehow diminishes my or destroys my ability to have a family. It's like, what in the fuck are you talking about? That's not how anything works. Also, I want to say that this is the exact same rhetoric, the same type of rhetoric that was used in order to suggest that it was a bad thing to allow black people to vote, to give black people equal rights, to give women equal rights. I mean, every oppressive idea that has been instantiated in the past has been met with this same kind of rhetoric. The whole idea that somebody else is getting equal rights to me says that I can't have those rights because there's a finite amount of these abstract rights that we're protecting for people. It's a finite resource or some shit. And that's just not how it works. Maybe this is it. Maybe they're talking about their inability to persecute others and their inability to prevent others from having the same things that they do. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Because if by providing that family over there with the ability to be a family, that prevents me from restricting them from being a family, then I guess that would be taking away their rights. Of course, that's not represented in the image that they got here, but it would be taking away their ability to prevent others from sharing, from having the same rights as them. So I mean, I guess in that way, it's like that's the future that leftists want. The ability for everybody to be treated equally and have everything that white males should have. The horror of an equal society. That's going to be it for our show today. Thank you so much for Brosephus for coming by and reading this shit.
Well, thank all you heathens for allowing me to come in here and educate you guys a little bit on Christian nationalism and also be the mouth for these prophetic saviors that have decided to let us know their prophecies through social media. I appreciate y'all listening to it. You're probably all going to hell, so I hope you burn there for eternity, and I will see you heathens later. Well, I'll be looking down from heaven, and y'all will be in hell. Bye, y'all!
He seems to be taking a bit of a Christian nationalist turn. He kind of seemed very supportive of that idea, so we're going to keep an eye on him here at the house. And anyways, I hope that you heathens liked all these comments today. I found them particularly ridiculous, and I hope to see all of your thoughts down below on these comments. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.